Hey friends, so Apple just held another conference and they announced some products, but they're not really as exciting or mind-blowing as that one conference in 2007 when Steve Jobs introduced the very first iPhone.
An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not three separate devices.
But today they also introduced the new Imacs, and I think that this is pretty important and kinda exciting from a perspective of a UX designer. So because this channel is primarily about design, I'm gonna talk a little bit about those Imacs and why I believe that they are really a good entry-level computer for a UX designer. So before we get to the Imacs, here's a quick recap. Today was all about the AirTags, a purple iPhone, new iPads, new Apple TV, and of course the new Imacs. So the M1 chip coming to the iPad Pro was pretty unexpected, at least for me, and I think that this can actually be a very good way for Sketch to actually get to the iPad finally and have a native Mac app running on a little small device, portable device that you can take with you, and then you can do designs on the go. But for now it doesn't work like that, because Sketch doesn't really run on the iPad, and there is some part of Figma that runs on the iPad, but yeah, it's not really that great. So while I think the iPad has a huge potential to be the productivity device of the future, it's not really there yet, because most designers really use their iPads as note-taking devices and, well, sometimes for low-fidelity wireframes, sketches and flows. So the future of starting your work on a nice new iMac and then transitioning on the go, on a train or on a plane, onto an iPad and then using Sketch with your Apple Pencil to create some nice high-fidelity mockups, it's not yet here. And hopefully it's gonna be our future, because that will be super cool. For now, iPad is definitely not a tool for UX designers or UI designers. We can do some work, but we can't really do everything that we do on those devices. Combined with the Apple Pencil though, it's a great tool for artists and illustrators, so that's a first step. Now let's get designers on board and we'll all be happy. Okay, so AirTags were actually to be expected, but what's unexpected about them is that you can customize each one with an engraving and you can even use emoji. So I guess I know what my AirTags are gonna look like. And last year at the beach, I actually lost my car keys, and that was pretty frustrating because I had to drive all the way back home in a different car to get my second pair of keys and then drive back. It was a huge hassle and a very unpleasant experience. And if I had an AirTag back then connected to those car keys, it would be a lifesaver. So even if they're not really a surprise, they are pretty nicely designed, should last a long time on one battery charge, and are something that I'm gonna definitely be getting soon. Now the new Apple TV runs 4K, has a lot of those extra features as well that I'm not really gonna dive into. But I want to actually mention one thing, because this is relevant for us designers as well. Remember the Apple remote, the very first one with like a click wheel kind of interface? Then they went into something more minimal that arguably looked better visually, with like the one glass panel at the top being a touchpad and all that. But it wasn't really optimal. It wasn't really a great user experience, so it's really nice to see that they are bringing the old style remote back with tactile buttons, because like when you're watching a movie in the dark, it's much easier to actually press on something that you can feel. And while I do own an Apple TV, I don't really watch movies or TV shows. I usually watch like 3 to 4 movies each year and probably 0 TV shows, so I'm not really a target demographic here, and I'm not gonna be changing my Apple TV to a new one anytime soon. Okay, now to the iMac, because I think that for most designers that display combined with the M1 chip is probably, especially given the fact that we're working from home now, so we don't really need a laptop and we don't really need to be as remote, is probably the best starting point to actually become a designer. Because you'll get a great display, you get great performance, and it's an all-in-one package that's really nicely looking also, so like as a desk setup it's also a pretty nice thing. And even though I wasn't really planning it or even considering it, I might be buying one for the office soon. And let's get the elephant out of the room first. So many people were expecting a floating iPad, you know, like one just bezel-less display on a stand. And what we got was actually a mix of that and the old school classic iMac design with the chin. And I think it's kinda cute. It does serve a purpose because the speakers are there and they're not directly behind the screen, which could have been an interfering factor. but it's also kind of like a nice way to still have thin bezels and a modern new display and a modern new design, but at the same time it's kind of still having that little nostalgia and that little kind of familiarity with the brand, because I've had a couple of iMacs and I don't really want it to be just the display. I like the chin. And judging by the colors, these are geared more towards consumers than professionals, and that's okay. But I still think that a space gray or even a matte black version would be preferred by many of those consumers as well, but I guess we might be getting these colors in an Imac Pro soon. So my main problem with this machine is that it's a little bit too small, because I'm pretty used to over 30 inches of displays, and I'm not really gonna get the $6,000 Apple display with a $1,000 stand, because that's a bit of an overkill for UI design. But I really wish they made like a 30-inch version of this iMac, because then I would be basically just checking out on the Apple Store and not really talking to the camera right now. Also, 4 Thunderbolt ports would have been super awesome, but I'll take the 2 and 2 USB-C as well, because it's still better than the 2 Thunderbolt ports that you get on the MacBook Pros right now. And before I switched to this monitor, I used the Apple Thunderbolt display and it had an Ethernet port. And I can only say that Ethernet beats Wi-Fi every single time. It's just faster, more reliable, more stable, just a lot better. So the idea to actually have an Ethernet port in the power brick that's usually at the bottom of the desk, and then you avoid the clutter of the cables, this is just brilliant. I love it. And of course the Magic Keyboard with a Touch ID sensor was to be expected as well, but it's not really something that I was really waiting for. So yeah guys, I'm kind of torn, because I really like the design of this, including the chin, and I really like the fact that they have those nice high resolution displays and an M1 chip inside. But 24 inches is a little bit too small, and yeah, I would probably go with a darker shade, so like a matte black or something, or an even lighter silver if they want to come back to the old school Apple style. Looking at this new iMac from the side, comparing it to the old iMac, is mind-blowing how far the technology has gone. So we as consumers and creators and designers are actually in the best possible place to be right now, because we have all these creative tools at our disposal that are like so cool and so futuristic even. Like 10 years ago you wouldn't really imagine to have a display of that kind on your desk like at all. This is just awesome. So it's a perfect time to be a designer. What did you think about the Apple conference? Are you getting some of these products? Let me know in the comments. And as usual, thanks for watching, like, subscribe, share the video, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. And I'm gonna turn this camera off, and I'm gonna be considering if I should buy the new iMac or not. If you think I should, you should also let me know in the comments. Cheers.